Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to extract pure gold from a computer's RAM. So first, we place the RAM sticks into a container and add a bit of water. Next, we pour in nitric acid and then add HF acid to boost the reaction speed. This combination will help break down the components much faster. Now we seal the container tightly and leave it overnight to let the process work on its own. The next morning, we carefully open the lid to check the progress. And yes, the reaction has almost completed. Now, we'll remove the leftover green RAM plates, keeping only the gold residue inside. There's still more left in the RAM, so we'll check thoroughly to make sure none of it remains stuck. Once confirmed, we'll scrape off any remaining traces, and we can discard the empty RAM plates after that. We strain the mixture, rinse it several times with clean water, and filter it through a cloth. All the collected gold will now be transferred into a clean container, and we'll add some water to help separate it properly. Repeating this 2 or 3 times ensures that every tiny bit of gold stays trapped in the fabric. And look at this. You can already see how much gold has been collected. Now that all the gold is collected, we pour out the excess water and start the purification process. To do that, we'll add mercury into the container. Mercury has a unique property. It absorbs only the gold and leaves all the other impurities behind. That means every bit of real gold will stick to the mercury, while the unwanted residue will stay separated. We'll gently stir it by hand so that the gold can fully bond with the mercury. Don't worry, this is a safe type of mercury, not the highly toxic one, so touching it briefly with gloves or washed hands is fine. Once mixed, we pour the mercury through a filter cloth. Shaking it slightly to make sure all the gold sticks to it. As you can see, The mercury has now absorbed the gold completely, and all that remains in the container is waste material. Next, we add washing soda onto the filter cloth. This helps remove any sticky residue and allows the mercury and gold to combine even more cleanly. We then rinse the mercury 2 to 3 times with water to remove the leftover dirt. Finally, we wrap the mercury in the cloth and squeeze it tightly. By doing this, all the liquid mercury will pass through, and what stays behind in the cloth is solid gold mixed with trace mercury. When we unwrap it, we find a small white ball. This isn't pure gold yet because a bit of mercury is still trapped inside. So now, we'll crush it into small pieces and place it into a heat-resistant bowl for the next stage. Now we move to the final stage, removing the remaining mercury and melting the gold. We pour nitric acid into the bowl containing the crushed pieces. The acid reacts with the mercury, dissolving it completely while leaving behind only raw gold. To speed up this process, we carefully apply heat from underneath. If you notice dark smoke rising, it means there's still mercury inside. We keep heating until the smoke turns white. That's the sign that all mercury has evaporated. Once it does, we refresh the acid, heat it again for a few minutes, and you can see the liquid bubbling. This means the reaction is still active. After a while, the smoke turns clear, showing that the gold is now fully purified. We then pour out the remaining liquid and rinse the gold 2 or 3 times with clean water. After drying it properly over the flame, we transfer the gold powder into a small clay bowl. Now comes the most exciting part, melting the gold. We slowly bring the flame closer, increasing the heat bit by bit. The raw gold starts to melt and fuse together, forming a bright, shiny little gold bead at the bottom of the bowl. And there it is, pure 24-karat gold, free from any impurities, bright, clean, and real. Look at that shine! It's absolutely beautiful. We'll let it cool down for a moment, and then we'll show you the final result. This small gold bead is the reward of all our effort, completely pure and naturally extracted from computer RAM. If you enjoyed this process, make sure to watch our videos fully, because many people later ask what acid or powder we used. Everything is explained in the video, so don't skip any parts. And there you have it, our pure 24-karat gold, shining bright and ready to hold in your hand. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to extract real gold from e-waste. So, here are some components. They're taken from... You'll usually find these parts inside tower systems. They're the ones that help provide signals. We're going to take one apart and show you exactly where the gold is hidden. Now, you might be wondering where you can find these items. Well, you can easily get them from scrap warehouses or e-waste markets, places where old electronics and computer parts are sold for scrap. Inside these components, you'll find different types of metals, gold, silver, and other valuable materials. But in this video, we'll focus only on recovering the Most of the pieces you see here are gold-plated, and today I'll show you step by step how to extract pure gold. Once we've sorted everything, we'll place all the components into a large metal. Then we'll pour in some and add nitric acid. Nitric acid helps separate gold from all other metals. It removes copper, brass, and other unwanted materials, but it does not dissolve gold itself. We'll leave the acid to react for some time. To manage the toxic fumes, we'll keep a small flame nearby so that the smoke rises upward safely. Always wear safety gloves and a mask during this step. After waiting, we'll add clean water to neutralize and check whether the gold has started separating. Sometimes it doesn't work on the first try, so we'll repeat the same process multiple times, adding acid, waiting, and rinsing with water. Gradually, this repetition removes all the base metals and leaves the pure gold behind. Now, as we wash the mixture, you'll notice the color of the water. That's a sign the reaction is still active. Then, we'll add another round of acid and seal the bowl again. This entire process will be repeated 5 to 6 times to make sure every last bit of gold is separated. To enhance the reaction, we'll use a stronger acid called HF acid. It's powerful and removes any leftover traces of metal. We'll keep cleaning until the water becomes clear. Once we remove the top layer of liquid, you can actually see small particles of gold settled at the bottom. We'll rinse everything again because even tiny gold dust must be collected. We'll then shift everything into a smaller container, wash it properly, and repeat the same process until the gold At this point, there's still some fine gold left. To collect it, we'll use mercury, which naturally attracts gold particles. We'll pour mercury into the mesh filter containing gold and stir it gently so that it binds to all the remaining gold dust. Next, we'll add a small amount of washing powder or detergent, which removes any oil or stickiness that prevents mercury from working properly. We can also add a few drops of nitric acid to help purify the mixture. After washing the mercury 2 or 3 times, you'll notice it has become clean and shiny. That means it has captured all the gold. Now we'll separate the gold from the mercury. We'll pour the mixture into a soft, fine and carefully squeeze it. The mercury will pass through, leaving behind raw gold mixed with a bit. We'll transfer that raw gold into a small bowl and pour nitric acid on. The acid will evaporate the mercury and leave only. As the acid reacts, you'll see bubbles forming. That's the impurities burning away. Once the fumes turn white, it means the mercury is gone. We'll pour out the acid, rinse with clean water, and then let the gold dry completely. After drying, we'll move it into a small clay bowl for melting. Before heating, we sprinkle a little borax powder, suhaga, on top. This helps the gold melt faster and stay pure. Finally, the gold melts completely into a small, solid. We'll cool it down and lift it out. And there you have it, 24-karat pure gold recovered from e-waste. If you enjoyed this process, check out the link in the description for our second channel. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you.
This gold-plated pin can actually make you rich, so never throw it away. Let's find out how much gold we can extract from it today. Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we'll be extracting gold from these gold-plated pins. Now remember, this isn't pure gold, it's just gold-plated, which means there's a thin layer of gold on top of another metal. So let's begin. First, we pour some water into the container and spread the pins evenly inside it. Let's add a little more water to make sure everything is covered. After adding the water, we'll pour in nitric acid. This acid will dissolve all the unwanted metals like brass, copper, or iron, and separate the gold from them. Now, as you can see, the reaction has started. It will begin to boil and all the gold will either rise to the top or settle at the bottom, while the base metals will completely dissolve. You can also light a small flame around the container to increase the temperature and make the reaction faster. As you can see, the acid is reacting now. Next, we add a small amount of HF acid. This strengthens the power of the mixture and helps the reaction complete faster. But be careful, Bum. If you add too much, it can also destroy the gold itself. The reaction has clearly started, so now we'll seal the container and leave it overnight. Let's check the results in the morning. All right, it's the next morning, and let's see if our process worked. First, we remove the lid carefully, then lift the container to check the results. As you can see, all the pins are now floating in the acid. That means the unwanted metals have completely dissolved, and what's left behind is pure gold. If there had been any brass left, the pins wouldn't be floating. So the fact that they are means this is real gold. Sometimes a small portion of gold might still settle in the filter, so to be sure, we'll add another round of acid, just to double check that no brass or other metal remains. We also light the flame again beneath the container to speed up the process. Heating helps the acid work more effectively. Now we'll add just a little more HF acid again. Not too much, because we don't want to damage the gold. Honestly, I don't think there's much brass left, but let's check anyway. We want our gold to be as pure as possible. Next, we'll wash the filter thoroughly with clean water. This removes the remaining acid and allows the gold to settle in one place. And as you can see, we've got some thick, dense gold particles here. All extracted from those gold-plated pins. The process worked perfectly, and there's no brass left. To neutralize the acid completely, we'll add more water, filter it once again using a cloth, and rinse it properly. This makes sure any leftover acid or impurities are fully removed. Now, all of our gold is safely collected in the filter. Let's move on to the next step. Now comes the exciting part. We'll add mercury to the collected gold. We pour a small amount of mercury into the bowl and gently stir it around. What mercury does is truly fascinating. It absorbs all the gold particles while the dirt and unwanted materials stay behind. That's the beauty of using mercury in this process. To make it work even better, we'll also add a little washing soda powder. This helps to remove any oil or stickiness that might be on the surface and allows the gold to properly attach to the mercury. Now we keep stirring it again and again, slowly adding water each time. This helps the gold gather in one place and bond tightly with the mercury. As you can see, the reaction is almost complete. The mercury has absorbed nearly all the gold. That means we're ready for the next step. Where we'll separate the gold back from the mercury. So now we pour the mercury gold mixture into a smaller bowl to clean it. We'll rinse it 2 to 3 times with water, each rinse removing more dirt and impurities. After that, we wrap the mercury inside a piece of thick cloth and squeeze it gently. The pure liquid mercury drips down while the part containing gold stays inside the cloth. This method works just like a natural filter. You can actually see the mercury dripping down, drop by drop. And what remains inside is our gold-rich mercury. At the end of this process, we'll get a small white ball. This is a mix of mercury and gold. Don't worry, this is not the final stage. We'll now purify it completely in the next step. So here it is, that small white ball. It's a mix of mercury and gold, but the mercury amount is higher than the gold. Now we'll crush it into smaller pieces and shift it into a small clay bowl for purification. Next, we'll use nitric acid again. This acid will dissolve and remove all the remaining mercury, leaving behind only raw, pure gold. As soon as we pour nitric acid, the reaction starts immediately. The color of the acid begins to change, and the mixture starts to boil. That means the purification process is in full swing. To speed up this process, we place a small flame underneath the bowl. The heat makes the reaction much faster. Now pay attention. As long as you see dark smoke, it means there's still mercury inside. When the smoke turns white, that's the sign that all the mercury is gone. Once the smoke becomes white, we'll add some water and wash it thoroughly. We'll repeat this washing process 2 to 3 times, pouring and draining water until every bit of acid is gone. Then we carefully dry the gold using gentle heat. When it's completely dry, we'll transfer the gold into a small clay melting bowl for the next and final step, melting the gold into a solid form. Now we take a small clay bowl and gently place all the raw gold dust inside. Before melting, we sprinkle a little borax powder over it. This helps purify and fuse the gold during heating. Next, we start heating slowly. We move the flame closer, little by little, so the gold can begin to melt evenly. As the heat increases, the raw gold starts to glow, liquefy, and form into a solid lump. If you have any questions about acids, materials, or steps, feel free to ask in the comments. We always reply. Finally, we have it, a small, shiny gold nugget, completely pure. This is 24-karat gold, extracted from those gold-plated pins. You can see how clean, bright, and beautiful it looks. Now let's cool it down a bit and take a closer look. Just look at that shine. It's pure, real gold. So what do you think? How much gold do you think we got from those pins? Comment your guess below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. That's it for today's video. See you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.
Never ignore a process like this, because this method can actually make you rich. We're talking about gold-plated e-waste, and today, we'll extract real gold from it. Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. So, let's begin by putting all these tower parts into a large container. We'll start our process step by step. First, we'll arrange everything properly, making sure each piece is placed perfectly. Now, we'll begin adding chemicals. The first one is nitric acid, but this time we're not adding any water. Usually, we add water, but not today, because these components are extremely strong. Next, we'll pour in some HF acid and light a fire beneath the container. This will help start the chemical reaction faster. At first, you might not see any boiling, but after a few moments, look closely. It starts to boil. Now, we'll close the lid and wait for about an hour. After an hour, our process is almost halfway done. We'll now add some water to neutralize the acid's strength and pour the used acid into a filter. If there's any small amount of gold in it, it will stay trapped in the filter, while the waste acid will drain below. We'll wash the materials 3 to 4 times. Then add new acid and refresh the process once again. Now, let's move on to the second round. Once again, we'll pour nitric acid into the container, making sure every piece is fully covered in the acid. We'll mix it well, and this time, add just a little bit of HF acid again. Remember, you can use as much nitric acid as you need, but always use less HF acid, as it's very strong. Now it's morning. A new day. We'll pour in some fresh water, and our process is almost complete. Let's filter it once again to see if there's still any gold left. After checking, it looks like most of the gold is already recovered. But to be sure, we'll transfer everything into a smaller container and wash it properly. As you can see, look at this. We've extracted a large amount of gold already. You can do this too. Whether you're in the USA, UK, or Canada, you can find these tower parts anywhere and extract gold just like this. Now, just to be extra sure, we'll add nitric acid one more time for a final round. We'll light the fire again and leave it for a while. Then, we'll add a small amount of HF acid as well. We'll also wash the filters. And look at that! Even in the filters, we've got more gold. Next, we'll use a magnet to remove any leftover iron. If we find any small traces of iron, we'll put those parts back into the nitric acid, and that will clean everything up. As you can see, it's boiling again. And once the process is complete, we'll check with the magnet one last time. No more iron left. Perfect. Now we'll filter it, wash it 2 to 3 times, and let it dry. Today, we're not using mercury. we'll directly melt the gold because there's too much of it, and we don't have enough mercury to handle it all. Now that everything's dry, we'll place small portions of gold into a clay pot for melting. If we pour it all at once, it could evaporate due to heat and air, so we'll melt it slowly, piece by piece. This melting process takes around 30 minutes, but we'll fast forward it for you so you don't get bored. Some people ask why we touch mercury without gloves. But let me tell you, this is safe mercury, not the poisonous type that can't be touched. So, those who keep asking in the comments, there's your answer. Now, as you can see, everything has melted beautifully. The gold has started forming into a solid ball, pure, shiny, and heavy. We'll heat it a little longer to make it even purer. Then sprinkle some borax powder on top to add that perfect shine. Finally, we'll remove it from the pot, cool it in water, and here it is, 24-karat pure gold. If you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends and family. Also, leave a lovely comment and tell us where you're watching from. That's all for today. See you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.
First, we are adding water. Now it's time to add nitric acid. After 6 hours,
बन रही, बस ये बन रही।
Have you ever extracted gold from electronic waste? No? Then today, we're going to do it, right here. First, we start by weighing our electronic scrap. You can see exactly how many kilos it is. After that, we begin the process. We take a container and pour in some water. Then, we add these gold-plated pins into it. Next, we pour a little more water, just enough to soak them completely. Now, we add nitric acid. Nitric acid helps separate the brass and other metals from the gold. All the base metals, like copper, zinc, and iron, dissolve with the acid, leaving only pure gold particles behind. We add a bit more water and acid again, and you can see the reaction starting. It's boiling. Now, we'll cover it and leave it for about 2 to 3 hours, keeping it on a low flame to speed up the process. After about an hour, the reaction is almost complete. We turn off the heat and pour in some water to neutralize the acid. Then we filter it through a fine cloth. This step is important so that even the tiniest gold particles don't flow away with the acid. We wash the residue 2 to 3 times, repeating the process carefully. Then we transfer the filtered material into a smaller container and wash it again thoroughly. This process can be done anywhere, even in the US, UK, or Canada. It's completely legal, and you can easily make $1,000 to $2,000 from scrap, totally free. Now we add a little more nitric acid again and repeat the process. Keeping it over a gentle flame to make sure all impurities are removed. Here's our filter paper where the gold has been trapped. Look closely. You can already see a lot of gold dust. Now we add a small amount of HF acid. This boosts the acid's power and helps remove any remaining impurities. But be careful. Adding too much can damage your gold. Once this step is done, we remove all the acid since our chemical process is complete. This ensures there's no copper or brass left in the gold. Next, we pour everything back through the filter one more time and wash it thoroughly with clean water. You can already see how much gold has been recovered. Now it's time for the main step. We add mercury into the container. We stir it well so that the mercury sticks to all the gold particles, while the dirt and unwanted materials stay behind. To help this process, we also add a bit of baking soda. This reduces stickiness and helps the gold bond more effectively with the mercury. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We keep adding water and baking soda, stirring continuously to make sure all gold attaches to the mercury. Once done, we mix it one last time to catch any leftover gold. Now it's time to separate the gold from the mercury. You can see there's still a lot of dirt, so we'll clean the mercury properly before moving ahead. Now, we pour the cleaned mercury into a piece of cloth and carefully filter it by pressing and twisting. As we squeeze, you can see the mercury dripping out. Don't worry, only the mercury comes out. The gold stays safely inside the cloth. If you're from a Western country, you can always ask your questions in the comments. We'll definitely reply to you. Inside the cloth, that white ball you see is actually a mixture of gold and mercury. But there's still a bit of mercury left inside, so now we transfer it into a small bowl, break it down into small pieces, and add nitric acid again. As soon as we add nitric acid, you'll see it start to boil. That means mercury is reacting. We heat it gently from below to speed up the process. When the color turns white, that's the sign that the mercury has completely evaporated and only pure, raw gold remains. We then wash it several times with clean water to remove any leftover acid. Boil and rinse it 2 to 3 times until all acid is completely gone. Finally, we dry it. And there you have it. Pure, recovered gold from electronic waste. Before heating, we sprinkle a little borax powder, suhaga, on top. This helps the gold melt faster and stay pure. Finally, the gold melts completely into a small, solid. We'll cool it down and lift it out. And there you have it, 24-karat pure gold recovered from e-waste. If you enjoyed this process, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you. Have you ever heard of someone extracting gold from damaged electronic devices? Probably not. So today, you'll actually get to see it. These are various electronic circuits from which we will extract gold. Everything you see here is gold-plated, not solid gold, just gold plating over brass. In today's video, we will discuss exactly how to extract gold from these components. First, we will remove all the gold-plated parts from the board, and once that's done, we will begin the extraction process. All these pieces you see are gold-plated and are commonly known as e-waste. We've collected quite a bit of e-waste, and as you can see, these parts are plated with gold. So let's begin the process. First, we will add water, and then we will add nitric acid. Nitric acid has the property of separating gold from the base metals. It dissolves brass, copper, and iron, turning them into fumes. These fumes are extremely dangerous, so it is important to stay away from them. After about 1 hour, we will add more water to neutralize the remaining acid. As you can see, the acid has turned blue. We will now add water and then filter the solution through a cloth so the gold remains in the filter while the acid drains below. Some components are still reacting, which means the acid has not completely dissolved everything yet, so we will add more nitric acid again. But before that, we must completely remove any remaining acid by washing the material several times with clean water. You can already see how much gold has collected in the filter. We will repeat this process 2 to 3 times, adding water, washing, and filtering thoroughly. As you can see, a significant amount of gold has already separated, although it is still mixed with dirt and impurities. We'll explain later how to clean it. We now continue the process by adding nitric acid once again. As soon as it is added, it begins to boil, which means impurities are still present. To speed up the reaction, we apply heat from below. As expected, the solution turns blue once again. After roughly an hour, we add water again and filter the mixture one more time. At this stage, wearing gloves is absolutely essential because we are about to work with mercury. Now comes the main step. We will add mercury and gently mix it. Mercury has a unique property. It attracts and binds only with gold while ignoring other impurities. This makes it extremely useful for this method. We will wash the mercury carefully so all dirt and unwanted particles are removed, leaving behind clean mercury that contains the gold. Don't worry, we will also show you how to separate the gold from the mercury. Once the mercury is clean, we pour it into a cloth filter and squeeze it. The liquid mercury will drip through the cloth, while the gold, combined with a small amount of mercury, remains inside the cloth as a small ball. Here you can see the tiny ball of mercury-bound gold. Next, we will flatten this ball and add nitric acid again. This time, nitric acid removes the remaining mercury. Important note: do not use hydrochloric acid at this stage, as it can dissolve your gold. To speed up the reaction, we again apply heat from below. When the fumes turn white, it indicates that all the mercury has been removed. Now we add water to neutralize and clean the material. If you process a larger quantity of e-waste, you can extract more gold. For demonstration, we're working with a smaller amount. After washing, we will dry it completely. Now we place the dried gold into a small clay crucible so it can be melted. We gradually increase the heat, and I'll fast forward this part of the video to save your time. By the way, let me know in the comments which country you're watching from and how much gold you've managed to extract if you try this yourself. As you can see, our gold has finally melted into a single piece, pure 24-karat gold. We will cool it down. Oh, looks like I accidentally dropped it. No worries, we can pick it up easily. And here it is. The small gold bead you see in my hand is pure 24-karat gold. I hope you enjoyed today's video. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.